So, what to say about Supergirl? She's cute. Anyway, we're here to talk about episode 1. Let's talk. Hey, what's good, comic fans? This is Campfire Comics, and we're here to talk about Supergirl Season 1, Episode 1. We're just going to do a quick recap over this one, a non-spoiler filled review, because we feel like a lot of people are literally going to be watching this to see if they should watch this show. It does not have the same type of following as a Walking Dead, Flash, or Arrow. So that being said, I'm Campfire Rich.
And I'm Campfire Nate. And if you started to watch this episode, for a minute you thought you were watching Devil Wears Prada, I'm sorry you weren't. You're actually watching Supergirl. So that might have confused you at first, because that first little scene might have felt like Glenn Close and Anne Hathaway were there. But actually that's not. It is actually Supergirl. Richie, what did you think?
I think the show started out quick, and I was glad for that. I like they put Dean Cain and Helen Slater in here, because it was kind of a throwback. You know, Dean Cain was on Lois and Clark.
They've done that. They did that with the Flash. You know, they had the guy who played the original. You know, they like to give a little nod to the original comic TV shows and be like, "Hey, we remember you did this. Here's a little nod." You know, that's what that was. So,
and Helen Slater played Supergirl in the original movie. Dean Cain was on the TV show Superman. So it was cool. It was neat seeing them in there just for a brief second. They didn't waste time getting into the story. I was kind of grateful for that. I didn't need, especially if the backstory was going to be just like Superman, I didn't need to see another version of that. So it was cool that they kind of monologued her history, put her in, boom, she's Supergirl. She's got power. She knows it. It was neat. That lets us get into more exciting stuff without wasting time. But
yeah,
I was glad that they did that. Is her backstory? I'll ask you this: how does her backstory compare to the comics?
The comics is a giant mess when it comes to Supergirl. I mean, they've rebooted Supergirl like 4 or 5 different times. They've killed her off. They've done this. They've done that. So they really have a lot of like free reign to do what they want to do with this character, with her backstory and what's going on. So I mean, other than the fact that she's from Krypton and even the fact that she's his cousin is something that they didn't come up with until like the 80s. Before that, she was. It's just a mess. I don't even want to talk about it, but they basically have free range to do what they want with this character.
They're not really stuck to any kind of source material whatsoever, basically, other than the fact that she is Supergirl, and that's basically it. They can do what they want.
If they gave them a list of the things they have to stick to, it was probably like 2 sentences long, and that's about it. Because they can pretty much go where they want to go with this.
All right, the show, you can kind of tell from this episode, because it was kind of all over the place. And I mean, literally, again, they did a condensed version of her backstory, but then on the negative side, they continued that out through the rest of this episode, where it was just, they threw so much information at you. It was like, this person's a bad guy. This is what this happened here. It was just like, by the way, we're a special task force, da-da-da-da. And it was a lot. Like, I mean, they threw in every character they thought that was going to be major throughout the rest of this really quick. And I would have liked for that to slow down a little bit, but I understand it. This is a pilot. They're trying to hook you. They want to lay the groundwork really quickly. And hopefully they can stretch that out slower throughout the rest of this season. Because it was just like bang, bang, throw in a bad guy. Let's do what we got to do. Here's his backstory real quick. And then it ends. So...
yeah, I mean, they got to cram a lot into that premiere. Here it is. We're going to put as much as we can into this, and I felt like they leaned heavily on the Superman aspect. They were like, hey, they never mentioned Superman, but they mentioned of him, and you're not going to see Superman in this. Okay, get that through your head. You're never going to see Superman in the show. If you do, it's going to be like his cape or like the back of his head or something like that. You're never going to get a Superman. So I want to see this show stand on its own without having to lean on Superman. And I felt like this pilot leaned very heavily on Superman. That,
did.
he wanted you to do, it's just, I don't know. So it's going to be something they're going to need to move away from.
It's neat, right? Like, I like the concept. It's neat from a standpoint, but at another aspect, we got to get away from it because you keep teasing Superman at me. It just makes me want to see Superman. I mean, she's a carbon copy of him. I mean, she's from Krypton. She lands on Earth. She works for a newspaper. She dresses up with glasses and stuff like that. She's an assistant. She's unself-confident and unself-confident. Why did I say that? That's not even a word. Anyway, I know what I'm trying to say. She's just like Superman, and it makes you want to watch Superman, right? Like, she's doing the same stuff he does. And so I hope, like you said, it can stand on her own, and that they don't throw him out there too much, because it's just like he over at Metropolis. And, it just kind of like, you know what? I want to go visit Metropolis. Let me put in Man of Steel real quick and watch that on my on Blu-ray. That's kind of what I felt. Another problem I had was that it made me feel like I was watching a kid's show on Disney. Like, it was that kind of hokey at certain parts, right? Like, we mentioned Miss Grant, which was her boss, this person she's assistant for. She was a little too over the top for me. Like, we get your snooty rich, whatever. But, like, it was like just they did it too much. They played it up too much. I didn't care for that. It was, again, like a Disney kid show.
The character they got to play as Supergirl, great. I like her. I already like the actress they got to play that. So far, I like everyone. The only character that I was just like not excited about was Callista Flockhart playing Cat Grant. I mean, she looks like she should be in a comic show, but it should be Walking Dead. She should be in as a zombie. I mean, she looks like she also could star in Plastic Surgery's Gone Wrong. I mean, her face hurts my eyes. I mean, my eyes light up like Kara's did when she used heat vision because it's being burnt by her face. So, I don't care. I don't care for her. I'm not excited to see her in anything. I was glad to not see her in things. So, hopefully we won't see she won't get a lot of screen time. I mean, unfortunately, I'm sure she will. But I might just have to fast forward through those screen times, man.
You get your blinders on because she's going to be in a lot of these episodes. Again, I hope it's just a pilot. They kind of had a throwaway bad guy. There was some problems I had with the episode in general. I don't want to get into spoilers, but they kind of forced it, and that goes back to them just trying to shove so much information into this pilot. With that being said, it does have potential. Like Nate mentioned, I like Supergirl, the character. Like, I like the actress that's playing her. I've never seen her in anything, but she's really likable on screen. Like, I'm watching her, and I wanted to see more of her. There were some other people that they introduced that's kind of going to be part of her team that I also liked as characters. And that's a good thing. That's something they can actually build on. If they can manage to just start to separate themselves, I don't know how, to not refer to Superman so much, slow down the storytelling from here on out, we could have a decent show. They have potential to build on it. As of right now, it was crammed in, kind of scattered. And I had a lot of questions that I had to get into spoilers, but there was just like, I was like, really? Like, at one point, I'll mention this, she asked permission to go fight. She was like trying to talk to this guy. I was like, I can beat him. Can I go? I want to go fight him. And I'm like, you're Supergirl. You don't need permission from anybody. If you want to go do something, go do it. He can't really stop you. So I don't know. It was stuff like that. Maybe she'll come into her own.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pilot. You take it for what it was. Right. Walk away from this feeling like it has potential. I enjoy majority of the actors that they've got to play. Right. It has potential. I'm going to support it because it's a comic television show, and that's what I do, even the ones that aren't very good. I'm going to watch this. I felt like the first episode was enough to get me feeling confident that it has potential. Yep. And that's enough for me to keep watching. I hope it gets better. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll watch a few more. Well, we're going to watch the whole. We're going to review all of them. And for next week when we do it, it's probably going to be spoiler field. Again, this was just a basic review for those of you who are trying to decide if you want to watch it. Watch it. See what you think. They did some of her powers really well. They did translate on screen well. Some of the other special effects was absolutely horrendous and looked like garbage, but it's a TV show. You can kind of expect that from some stuff. with that being said, check the show out. It wasn't horrible. They got something to build on, and that's kind of all we got for this recap. Again, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at ConfireRich. You can follow Nate at ConfireNate. You can see it's going to be right down here on this video here. Subscribe to this channel. Make sure you don't miss anything that we do. We talk about The Flash, Arrow, Walking Dead, comic books, a whole bunch of stuff. Get back to us, man. Till next time, we out.
See ya.